It's Friday, September 22nd, 2018. We're on episode 36, and today our big thing that we're going to chat about is the DC Universe. That's right, all of it. The entire DC Universe, which is now available on everybody's phone, tablet, TV, anything that streams, because the DC Universe has become an app. We're going to talk about that app. I've had the last week to fuck with it. Also, wrestling happened, and stick around because this is not life with Adam S. Messinger.
If you're reading saga or crying from the muir, he'll deliver a sunset flip, so hold secure. He's got comic books and wrestling all night. This is not life with Adam Messinger.
Welcome back. We had a decent week between the last episode and this episode. So strap in for 20 minutes of balls to the wall discussion with myself about things and stuff. So today I'm looking at the DC Universe app. It was released on Batman Day, which I believe was September 15th, and they gave me a week trial. They'll give you a week trial too. I'm not fucking special. But they give me a week trial to look around, see if you like it. And if I do, I can pay $8 a month for it. My other option is dropping $75 a year on it. And I gotta say, let's get into it before I give you my final verdict, all right? I shouldn't just lead with the final verdict. It's just not how life goes. So the first thing we're going to look at is pretty much all the different features it offers. And then I'll break down each feature as it goes. So the first thing it offers is a huge library of DC animated movies, TV shows, live movies. There's like a Wonder Woman TV movie from the 70s before the Linda Carter series that's on there. And there's like a Spirit TV pilot that was done in 1987 on there. There's some really odd shit on there. But there's also Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, basically all the Bruce Timm DC Animated Universe stuff. And they've also got, for the movies, they have the new J. Olivia universe stuff, which is, it started with, I believe, Flashpoint Paradox, and then spun off into Justice League War and Throne of Atlantis and Batman Bad Blood, and the most recent one that hit was Death of Superman. So, and I mean, that just came out not too long ago. So it's pretty up to date. That was one thing I was really impressed with. The stuff that they do have is very new. They even have Batman Ninja, which is a reimagining of Batman, and that just came out. That came out, I want to say, after Death of Superman, so it's like less than a month or something like that. So I was really impressed with what they had. Now, as far as things they didn't have, it took me a little bit to really dig through and realize there was shit that wasn't there that should have been there, like the Watchmen movie or any of the DCEU movies. So there's no Man of Steel, no Wonder Woman, no Batman vs. Superman. I'd like to say they're curating for quality, but they have Batman and Robin on there. So we know that's not a thing. As far as if you're really into that stuff and you want to rewatch it and watch it over again, then this is perfect for you. For me, a lot of those things, I've seen it once. I probably won't go back and watch it. There's a couple I might, like Justice League Gods and Monsters. I would probably go and rewatch that. Batman, the 1989 movie, is my favorite movie of all time. So I would probably rewatch that for sure on there. I'd probably rewatch that more than any of the new stuff I checked out on there. That's just how interested, or lack thereof, I was in a lot of that. They have the entire George Reeves Superman TV series from the 50s on there. They even got like a Superman serial from before that. Lois and Clark is on there from TNT back in the day. I mean, they've got, as I said, they've got quite a good collection, but for me, a killer is No Wonder Woman. And that's like probably my favorite DCEU movie and one of the best superhero movies that's been put out in the last probably 5 years, I would say. So hopefully they're going to add that, or they're still in the process of it. And it also has yet to be seen how they're going to put stuff out there like Arrow and Flash and any of the CW shows, because they're not on there. That would compete with their contract with Netflix. So I don't know how that's all going to work out. If you haven't seen a lot of this stuff, then that's awesome, but the chances are you have. Y'all know me. I love comics. In fact, that's why I got this. While the movie stuff is cool, the TV stuff is cool, I got this for them comic books. The cool thing about this app is it's available on all kinds of different stuff, and that includes like Apple TV and Roku and all that stuff, which theoretically means I can fucking read comics on my television, which all you dumb fucks are like, I want to watch TV on it. Like, fuck you guys. I'm reading comics on my TV like a real nerd. So, yeah, I'm going to read comics on there, and I'm pretty excited about that. And I was totally digging through the archives and just like, holy shit, what can I read on there? And what shit do I not have that I would definitely love to have there? And I went through, and they have, much like the TV and movie and the animation and all that shit, much like the media, they have a weird selection of comics. Now, there is a little bit of logic as you look through it, and kind of the older the material, the more they have of it. But there's some things in there I'm just like, why do you have that entire series that most people do not want to read? And a lot of the newer stuff, they'll either give you 3 issues of, or one issue of to sample it. And I really thought that was not a smart move on their part. One thing I thought was really weird is some series that were like mini-series would have like 3 out of the 6 issues would have 3. Like there was one, The Return of Donna Troy, which I don't know who the fuck is clamoring for rereading that or reading that for the first time, but it has 3 of its 4 issues available. It's like, why? What the fuck's the point? The other thing they had was they only had like 3 issues of Jack Kirby's Mr. Miracle from the 60s on there. But they had 8 issues of the 1987 series, which I think it only went like 8 issues. It may have went like 12. But the Kirby Mr. Miracle series went 16 issues, and I'm only getting 3 of those. Again, it's Kirby. It's something I would like to read, probably, and they don't have all of it. I would also, like, they had Batman Eternal, which was a weekly series from 4 or 5 years ago. I would like to read all that, so I was kind of excited to see they had all 52 issues of that. Their rhyme or reason for having as much as they do of certain things doesn't always click with me, and there's just not a lot there that I haven't either already purchased on Comixology or would cite me wanting to spend $8 a month just for this. Because, I mean, honestly, that's what I'm going to use it for, is I'm going to use it for comics. And as we get to the final verdict, I got to say their comic selection was decent. It had some depth, but it didn't have a whole lot of substance to that depth. I mean, if you have 3-foot thick styrofoam, it's still fucking styrofoam. So my final verdict is, even with what they have of the comics and all the TV stuff they have on there, I'm saying wait 6 months and see what's changed. I don't think right now it's worth my $8 a month or $75 a year. To me, it's just not worth that right now. I would rather go on Comixology and buy, a graphic novel each month that I don't have, or spend that money on 3 physical comics that I don't have. It just, for me, it doesn't fit that value. For you, it might. You might find that it's something that you want, especially if you want to rewatch, like The Flash from the 90s or some of the more obscure stuff that DC's put out. And there's several things that, that's the only way you're going to get them, like that Wonder Woman pilot or that Spirit pilot. There's a lot of those that the only way you're going to get that is this app, but there's not enough exclusive stuff for me to stick around and want to watch that. So, as I said, wait 6 months, go back, see what's changed. I would love to see it take on the model of Marvel Comics Unlimited, which is darn near perfect at this point for what I would like out of comics. I have the entire Marvel Universe at my fingertips for $10 a month. If DC were to do the same thing, I would definitely hop on board, but I feel like they've gone half-assed on each end. And the comic says the full library will be available for purchase in October. I don't know what that means. If it means unlockable for the users, then cool. If it means I have to buy shit on top of what I pay each month, like, that can go fuck itself. I'll go to Comixology, where I already have a library's worth of stuff, and buy that there instead of buying this within the app. So, as I said, go wait 6 months. Hopefully things have changed and then. Stick around. There's going to be a word from Ted. He might even have more than one word. Probably sentences, I would actually say. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to have a discussion on wrestling. Stick around.
Consistency is key when it comes to establishing a podcast, and with the amount of time it takes to edit a quality product, it can look absolutely daunting. My name is Ted, and instead of worrying about where you'll find the time, you can send your podcast to me. I'll edit and ensure you have a consistent and quality product in time for release every time. You can contact me for my rates on my website at handsometwitchstreamer.com, on my Twitter at friendsofted, or email me directly at gabbardted@gmail.com.
Raw and Smackdown happened this week. We just had a pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell. It was a decent pay-per-view. You can stick around if you like my pay-per-view reviews. They're going to have WWE Super Showdown from Australia, and it's going to fucking happen at like 3 in the morning because Australia decided to be assholes and have their side of the sun come up on the opposite of ours. What a bunch of dicks. So, I'll probably be up with them, and I'm still going to be angry at them. I will be cursing them from my bed, angry that they have sun and I do not. And it looks like it'll be a good pay-per-view, though, so WWE better put me in a good mood because they're already going to be at a disadvantage. One thing they announced on Raw was WWE Crown Jewl, and this is another Saudi Arabia show. For those of you who have been listening since day one, you'll remember my very first review was WWE Super Showdown, not Super Showdown, fucking, what is it, the biggest Royal, greatest, whatever, the fucking Royal Rumble bullshit that they did in Saudi Arabia. The greatest Royal Rumble, I don't know, I fucking don't care. That show was shit. This show looks like it'll be less shit. But I really wish that they were not doing this Saudi Arabia stuff because, yeah, the political climate there is not one I would like to see a company support, especially with their cultural shit of, women are a lesser species and women cannot perform on this show. And in fact, this leads me into their next thing is they're going to have WWE Evolution. I want to say 4 days before the Saudi Arabia show. It's an all-women show, and it's their way of trying to detract from the fact that women can't perform in Saudi Arabia. It's cool that they were doing this all-women show. It needed to be done anyway, but I really wish it weren't so obvious. Do it maybe a month in advance and then run 2 regular pay-per-views closer. It would be a similar amount of money to do all that shit with, I would think, and it would be way less obvious. So there was that. Of course, the Crown Jewl show in Saudi Arabia, the only thing it has officially announced is the Universal title match of Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns. I'm not super excited for this match, but the thing is with WWE, it can either turn to shit on a dime, or it can get pretty good on a dime, or it can get really good on a dime and then turn back to shit on another dime. The quality varies, and it's a super big roller coaster that you think sometimes is going to crash, and then it'll surprise you, or, you'll hope it doesn't crash as you go onto another track. So, getting on to the weekly shows, outside of that stuff, quite honestly, like, I sat down to do this. I was like, I'm going to take notes. I need to kind of remember because I watched it all live. I need to kind of a refresher, and I looked it up, and like, I just ultimately, when it came down to it, I did not care about Raw. I looked at some of the stuff on there, and there was like one thing I enjoyed. Okay, two things, and they were both matches featuring Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, and the Ambrose and Rollins feud, where each of those guys, it was Rollins versus Ziggler for the IC Championship, and Ambrose versus McIntyre, which that match was really good. The IC Championship match was okay, but to their credit, they fucking fell 10 feet off Hell in a Cell the night before through a table. So the fact that they were even able to put out a good match is really shocking to me. They should not have worked, in my opinion. When it comes to SmackDown, that's where they've really had the best storylines going on. They've also had some of the more baffling ones, but right now they have the best amount of storylines, and it could be the fact that Raw's 3 hours versus SmackDown's 2 hours. But if you have to watch one, I'd say watch SmackDown at this point. The main event angle they ran this week was Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch is running through this entire division being a badass. She's essentially, for my money, she's very much Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the problem right now is WWE's whole thing is they want Becky to be the bad guy. They want to force Becky down your throat as the bad guy. So they're having Charlotte play very much the sympathetic babyface, and the crowd doesn't hate her. And that's good right now, but at the same time, the crowd keeps chanting for Becky, even though Becky's, calling her a bitch and ambushing her from the crowd. And she's doing some really cool shit, to be honest. It reminds me a lot of Austin putting the cement in Mr. McMahon's car and those kind of things, and it's really fun. But they're really wanting you to root for Charlotte more than they are for Becky Lynch. And the Becky Lynch thing is confusing to me because it's like if somebody writes a hero who's a badass and the writer's like, that's a villain, and all the readers are like, no, that's a hero who's a badass. That's who we want to see more of. They should essentially go, oh, okay, well, let's change the story up to work better for everyone. No, that's not what they're doing. They're fucking sticking to their guns like dumbasses. But what they have done is really good. Becky Lynch has been fantastic. So if you get a chance to hit highlights on that, hit that highlight. The other one on SmackDown is AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. Their rivalry right now, for my money, is the best thing going in WWE, and part of that is because less is more. Their segments each week get maybe 5 minutes, and they're doing so much in what they say, what they have to say, and they get out. This week you had AJ Styles fighting in a match Andrade Cien Almas with Selena Vega at ringside. That was a really good match. After the match was over, Samoa Joe comes out from nowhere and fucks up AJ Styles. And they're going to have a match at the Australia show. I'm really excited for that. That's going to be the best match on the show if they give them the time and they haven't, given them a stupid fucking finish. So I'm going to keep the wrestling short because, as I said, my memory nothing really sparked it to where I could go by thing by thing. So on the not Dave Meltzer scale, I'm going to give Raw a nap because you could nap through it for the most part. And SmackDown is going to I'll give it a high 5. It's not amazing. It could be awesome, and hopefully it will get better. It was good, but it has a whole lot of room to grow. With that, I bid you adieu. I want to thank Ted for editing this whole thing. And with that, I think I'm going to head out. Oh, fucking follow me on all the social medias. Adam S. Messinger, and I want to say there's other shit. But anyway, I'm done trying to think of shit. My brain's fried. Have a good day, and I'll see you next Friday.